Hello, it's Jamie Hartnell here, and if you're looking at this video, then I just want to say a big thank you because you filled out my Heroes questionnaire and survey, and that was all to do with helping me out find out what some of your biggest challenges are with your fitness and nutrition. It's really important for me to do this because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help busy people, so people with families, busy jobs, that sort of thing, improve their fitness and manage their nutrition in the best way possible. In order to do that, I just wanted to get some feedback from the audience itself, so I know how I can best help. So thank you very much for filling this out. It does really help me. And as a thank you, I just wanted to offer a few little tips based on some of the responses that I got out of that survey. So broadly speaking, they come in quite a few different areas. One is time. So don't have much time to do stuff. So with that, what I would say is, let's start with eating. So you don't have time to eat healthy meals. Well, obviously you don't have to eat perfectly cooked meals all the time. However, what you want to try and do is make this as regular as possible. So what I would suggest is not trying to do this all in one go. Just try and work up to it and build up a repertoire of meals in your head. So what you could do is this week, you could start off by saying, go to the BBC Good Food website and type in all the ingredients that some ingredients that you like, enjoy eating, and then it will come up with some recipes for you. Find out some good healthy options from there that are easy to cook, and then cook that meal in the 1 week. Okay, so you go to the supermarket, buy the ingredients, and then you just cook that meal. Then next week, you practice that meal again. And then the week after that, you practice it again. And then the week after that, you just cook a big portion of it, which you should be able to do pretty quickly off the top of your head now. And you just cook a big portion, batch it up and put it in some Tupperware boxes. So now you've got lots of different portions of that meal. What that means is you've now got yourself you've now got one recipe in your head which you can cook really well, that you know is healthy and you know you've got readily available for you. What you can then do is, once you've got that meal down, is do exactly the same process with another one. So then eventually you've got 2 meals, and then eventually you'll have 3 meals, and eventually you have 4 meals, etc. So you'll have this like bank of knowledge and recipes in your head that you know you can just call upon, and you'll have in the fridge or in the freezer in Tupperware, ready for when you need it. So hopefully that helps you build up a consistent bank of meals ready for when you need them. Another one is workouts. So, you know, I don't have time to work out. Maybe I'm getting back too late from work to work out. So the first thing I'd say here is workouts don't have to be an hour long. A lot of people I think say, I've got to go to the gym for an hour. You don't have to go to the gym for an hour. You could go, you could do a workout at home for 20 minutes. Okay, so you could just do a HIIT workout at home. You could get a kettlebell. You could do kettlebell complex. So kettlebell complex is where you sort of do 3 or 4 exercises. You do some reps of each exercise without putting the kettlebell down. And then once you've done each of the 3 exercises or 4, whatever, you just put it down, have a rest, and you go again. You can get a lot of work done, a lot of muscle working in such a short space of time with kettlebell complexes. So that's a good option as well if you're short of time. So you could do, again, that workout could be 20 minutes. The other thing is, as well, is it doesn't have to be super intense either. If you've had a really stressful day at work, the last thing you probably want to do actually for your body is put it through a really stressful workout. So maybe on those days you just get home, do a little bit of mobility work, a little bit of stretching, and then sort of get yourself ready for bed or whatever it is you're going to do. The other thing I'd like to talk about with time is scheduling. It's so important to plan in when you're actually going to do these things. If you kind of just expect them to happen, they probably won't. So on a Sunday or something at the end of the week, just have a look and see what realistically you can achieve in terms of scheduling your workouts. So, you know, it might only be you can actually fit in 2 workouts that week. That's okay. At least you try and hit those workouts, do the absolutely best you can. And at least you haven't tried to aim for 5 when you've got absolutely no hope of achieving it and you just feel like a failure. And that's when you sort of get demotivated and stop. So those are the 3 things there. I would say build a bank of meals that you can cook over time, so not straight away. all workouts don't have to be an hour, and you can make sure you schedule your workouts in, treat them like appointments if you like. So the next thing that was talked about was stress. Stress eating is quite a big one. So, you know, when you get stressed, you tend to eat a lot of food. And that's research actually found that when you're stressed, your appetite is actually suppressed. So you may have found this when you've got a deadline and you just need to get it done and you don't really think about anything else. You get that tunnel vision and you just push on, you get the deadline done. This starts to change though when you've got the availability of like hyper palatable foods, so chocolate, sweets, all the things we know we shouldn't eat. When you have the availability of that high calorie, high tasting food, then that is that changes things. So a key thing here is just food environment. Try to make sure that you don't have these things within eye view, or you don't have things which trigger a response that you know that is going to cause you to eat more. So if you don't have that hyperpalatable food available, you're probably not going to eat it or seek it out too much. So just try and take it out of your environment. That means not having food in the house. That means putting it behind a cupboard. That means putting all these things like the ice cream in the garage or whatever, in the freezer in the garage. Yeah, so that would be the key thing. The other thing you might want to look at is if you are if you're getting chronic stresses, you may want to look at how you can limit those factors long term, because chronic stress is what's going to cause, you know, you can't hide food forever. So you need to look at some of the major stresses that you have in your life and see what you can do about them. For example, do you get super angry about in traffic? You know, you don't need to. It's not helping anyone. You can just decide to let it go. You know, you don't have to get angry about it. If you get angry about it, that's when a stressor comes in. If you are able to just say, oh, do you know what? That's their problem. It's nothing to do with me. I'll just move on and get on with my day. That's fine. And then that actually takes the stress out of the situation. So you don't have to be stressed about everything. Sugary snacks. So this goes back to the same sort of thing with this. Now, sugary snacks, they're hard to avoid, or, you know, it might not be sugary snacks. Some people have cravings for that's like really savory things, but again, high calories, high fat, all of those things that you know aren't particularly good for you. Now there's a reason for this. When every time you eat something like that, you get a dopamine response flooding around your brain, and that is a reward hormone, neurotransmitter. And what it does is it just tells you that's a good thing. Because in the olden days, when when we had to hunt for our food and stuff like that, we didn't know when we were going to get food. So if you came across something that was high in fats, high calories, and high sugar that was going to give you loads of energy, your body would want that. So that's why you get this dopamine response when you eat these highly palatable sugary foods, and that's why you get cravings. Again, it comes out to food environment. If you don't have the stimuli that trigger those sort of cravings, you won't really crave them. So out of sight, out of mind is a really good rule to follow when it comes to trying to manage cravings for sugary snacks and that sort of thing. Single portions also. So if you are going to have biscuits and things like that, don't go buy a big multi-pack of digestive biscuits or whatever. Just try and buy like the single portions, because then there's like a dead stop on when your portion finishes. It's kind of the same with ice cream. Don't eat directly from the tub. Just get yourself out a portion and then move on from there. Because once you have the end of it, then that's the end of it. You probably won't crave anymore. Social situations, another big one. So people eat out a lot. People go out and have a few drinks at the weekend, which is awesome. How do you manage that though? Well, I guess it's a case of perspective. One of the things I would say is you need to look at your calories throughout the week. The only issue really with drinking from a calorie point of view is that it starts to increase calories than you would otherwise need or have. So what you need to do is you need to look at your food intake throughout the week and see if there's anything you can swap stuff in for. So for example, if you regularly have a chocolate bar a day, say like a Mars bar or something, for like 5 days in a week, then that's about 1,300 calories over the course of a week. If you just took that out and replaced it with a few drinks at the weekend, you could have 9 bottles of Peroni in that amount of time, instead, or you could have 6 glasses of wine, something like that. So you can create space for these things. So that's one way of looking at it. Try and remove something else that's not particularly great from your diet and replace it with that. So at least you get the social benefit of the social situation out of it. Okay, alcohol is not the best thing for you, but as I say, it's not as if you're not going to not go out. So the other thing I would say, managing social situations, is calories can rack up once you're having starters, side dishes, mains, desserts, and all of these things. So you want to try and limit some of those things. Maybe it's that you try to just avoid a starter. What you could do for dessert, instead of having like a chocolate fudge cake, which would be super high in calories, you could have a coffee instead. Or you could have an alcoholic drink or something like that. It doesn't leave you empty-handed, and you're still able to just sort of carry on without too much fuss from peer pressure and anything like that. Okay, getting started can be a real tricky one if you've not trained for a long time, or you're getting back into fitness or whatever, because of all the you're worried maybe about how you'll be perceived and all of that sort of stuff. I would say if you got to probably work out what are the barriers to you starting. So if it is something you're worried about what people will think about you when you're in the gym and all the rest of it, don't go to the gym. Sort of take your don't put that obstacle in place. Start training at home. 20 minutes a day doing some basic body weight stuff will be probably enough to get you started if you're a little bit overweight and you're trying to lose that. Focus on your calories first and just try to schedule in a few short sessions at home. Get someone to keep you accountable as well. So someone who you know is going to support you on your journey. Get them to sort of give you a kick up the backside when you feel like when you're feeling lazy and not doing it. Maybe they can get in with you and help you out with it. Also, do something you enjoy. So when it comes to exercise, there is an optimum way to do things. So if you want to tone up, you should probably lift weights or do some sort of resistance-based training. But at the end of the day, the most optimal plan is useless if you don't stick to it. So more than anything over any sort of plan is your ability to adhere to it and stick to it. Enjoyment is absolutely key. So make sure you do something you enjoy. That could be, you might just want to go rock climbing. You might want to go ice skating. You might want to go mountain biking. Like, it doesn't have to be in the gym just doing boring reps. You could do loads of this stuff. You don't have to go to a spinning class and just flog yourself to death. So find something you enjoy, you'll stick at it, and you'll keep your activity levels high. Okay, so final point is motivation. This comes up a lot, especially in all of with the clients that I work with in terms of questions that I get and things like that. So I would say focus on a couple of things. So extrinsic versus intrinsic motivation. So ultimately you kind of need a bit of both. Extrinsic motivation is where you're kind of motivated by a reward or the avoidance of something bad. So, it might just be that you're motivated by the way you're going to look and the comments you're going to get from the way you're looking in pictures in the summer holidays, something like that. A more intrinsic motivation would be you want to do this for yourself because you want to be a role model for your kids. Therefore, you are doing it for them, really, and it's giving you that self-esteem as a result of that. So usually you need some sort of extrinsic motivation to get you started, to push you through. So what are you going to get out of it in the immediate term? But also you need to have a really think about your intrinsic motivational factors that are driving you to keep going, because it's the intrinsic stuff that will keep you going when your motivation to actually do something is waning, because you're not going to feel like getting up and doing something and eating healthily and managing all of this all of the time, and it's just not going to happen. Motivation is a very temporary thing. So make sure that you know exactly why you're training. Think about it quite hard. It's not something you're going to think of just like that, but maybe just have a think about it over the next couple of weeks and sort of think, why is it that I actually want to train? Why do I want to be healthy? What would it mean to me? How would it change my life? Think about those sorts of things, write them down and have them as a goal at the top of the, run down as an overarching goal, if you like, in terms of what you want to get out of your fitness and nutrition. And also, I just want to sort of leave on a final point. Ross Edgley came up with a great quote when he was swimming around the UK. So if you don't know, Ross Edgley is a chap who has just swum around the whole of the UK without touching the mainland. So he would go back onto his boat with his team and then sleep and then go back out again. He was swimming for 12 hours a day in 2 6-hour tides. He had all sorts of issues that he had to deal with. He regularly on every swim ran into jellyfish and got stung. He had this massive salt tongue, like salt buildup on his tongue. He had massive chafing on the back of his neck, and he had a massive sort of cut on there which he had to deal with. Like he had loads of things that he had to deal with, and basically he sort of said, in order to get through this, the mental resilience, in order to build the mental resilience to get through this, you just have to focus on the process and not the outcome. At the start of it, he's like, okay, the outcome is to start at Margate and then get back to Margate, and that is it. So it's to swim around the UK. That is his main outcome. So he knows that. He just doesn't need to think about that now. Now he can work backwards and he think, right, so what are the processes that I need to do in order to get there? I need to focus on these processes. How well is my swimming stroke? I need to just focus on getting back in the water again. I just need to focus on, am I eating enough calories? Am I eating the right sort of calories? When should we go? What is the best time to go based on the tides? Like, these are the factors that he needs to focus on, because if he focuses on those, the outcome is an inevitability. So focus on the process, because the outcome will just become inevitable after that. And then you'll start to enjoy that process as well a little bit more, because you'll start to build progress in those sorts of things. That was a really good one. It's a really powerful one that I learned recently, and something I keep telling clients as well. So focus on the process, not the outcome. I really hope that helps you guys. Let me know if any of that has helped. And if you do have any other questions, ping me a message. One of the reasons, as I say, I'm going to be getting into what I call remote coaching. So not face-to-face coaching, but one-to-one coaching all the same. So if you need sort of specific help with your nutrition, the answer in fitness and nutrition to any of these questions is usually it depends, because every person is different. Every person has a different context, situation, living situation, likes and dislikes and all the rest of it. So the answer is always it depends. And that's where one-to-one coaching becomes valuable, because as a coach, I can take your situation and just apply what needs to be applied to help you specifically. So I will be moving into, in the new year, in 2019, I'll be moving into remote coaching, so helping people from a distance through various different technology and all the rest of it, and I'm building that process out. That is part of the reason why I asked you to do that survey. And so if you are interested in that, do ping me a message. Do follow the Facebook group as well, which I'll send in the email accompanying this, and because that will have lots of free information on there as well. So definitely worth a follow on that. In the meantime, thank you very much.